Hi everyone, welcome back. Section 96 of Sambhavapar continued. Vaishampayan said, there was a king known by the name of Mahabhisha, born in the race of Ishwaku. He was the lord of all the earth and was truthful in speech and true prowess. By 1,000 house sacrifices and 100 Rajsuyas, he had gratified the chief of the celestials and ultimately attained to heaven. One day the celestials had assembled together and were worshipping Brahman. Many royal sages and King Mahabhisha also were present on the spot. And Ganga, the queen of rivers, also came there to pay her adorations to the grandsire. And her garments, white as the beams of the moon, were displayed by the action of the wind. And as her person became exposed, the celestials bent down their heads. But the royal sage Mahabhisha rudely stared at the queen of rivers. And Mahabhisha for this cursed by Brahman, who said, Wretch, as thou hast forgotten thyself at the sight of Ganga, thou shalt be reborn on earth. But thou shalt again and again attain to these regions, and she too shall be born in the world of men, and shall do thee injuries. But when thy wrath shall be provoked, thou shalt then be free from my curse. Vaishampayan continued. King Mahabhisha, then recollecting all the monarchs and ascetics on earth, wished to be born as a son of Pratap, Pratat, Pratipa, of great prowess. And the Queen of Rivers, too, seeking King Mahabhisha lose his firmness, went away, thinking of him wishfully. And on her way, she saw those dwellers in heaven and the Vasus who also pursuing the same path. And the Queen of Rivers, beholding them in the predicament, asked them, Why look you so dejected? Ye dwellers in heaven, is everything right with you? Those celestials, the Vasus, answered her, saying, O Queen of Rivers, we have been cursed for a venial fault by the illustrious Vashishta in anger. The foremost of excellent rishis, Vashishta, has been engaged in his twilight adoration, and seated as he was, he could not be seen by us. We crossed him in ignorance. Therefore, in wrath, he had cursed us, saying, Be ye born amongst men. It is beyond our power to frustrate what had been done by the utterance of Brahma. Therefore, O river, thyself becoming a human female, make us the Vasus, thy children. O amiable one, we are unwilling to enter the womb of any human female. Thus addressed, the Queen of Rivers told them, Be it so, and then asked them, On earth, who is the foremost of men among whom ye will make your father? The Vasus replies, On earth unto Pratipa shall be born a son, Shantanu, who will be a king of worldwide fame. Ganga then said, Ye celestials, that is exactly my wish, which ye sinless ones have expressed. I shall indeed do good to that Shantanu. That is also your desire as just expressed. The Vasus then said, It behoveth thee to throw thy children after birth into the water, so that, O thou of three courses, celestial, terrestrial, and subterranean, we may be rescued soon without having to live on earth for any length of time. Ganga then answered, I shall do what ye desire, but in order that this intercourse with me may not be entirely fruitless, provide ye that one son at least may live. The Vasus then replied, We shall each contribute an eighth part of our respective energies. With the sum thereof, thou shalt have one son accordingly to thy and his wishes. But this son shall not begat any children on earth. Therefore, the son of thine, endowed with great energy, shall be childless. The Vasus, making this arrangement with Ganga, went away without waiting to the place they liked. Section 97. Sambhavapar continued. Vaishampayan said, there were a king of the name of Pratipa, who was kind to all creatures. He spent many years in ascetic penance at the source of the river Ganga. The accomplished and lovely Ganga, one day assuming the form of a beautiful female and rising from the waters, made up to the monarch. The celestial maidens, endued with ravishing beauty, approached the royal sage, engaged in ascetic austerities, and sat upon his right thigh that was, for manly strength, a veritable shala tree. When the maiden of handsome face had so sat upon his lap, the monarch said unto her, O amiable one, what dost thou desire? What shall I do? The damsel answered, I desire thee, O king, for my husband. O foremost one of the Kurus, be mine. To refuse a woman coming of her own accord is never applauded by the wise. Pratipa answered, O thou of the fairest complexion, moved by lust, I never go in unto others wives or women that are not of my order. This, indeed, is my virtuous vow. The maiden rejoined, I am not inauspicious or ugly. I am every way worthy of being enjoyed. I am a celestial maiden of rare beauty. I desire thee for my husband. Refuse me not, O king. To this Pratipa answered, I am, O damsel, abstaining from that course to which thou wouldest incite me. If I break my vows, sin will overwhelm and kill me. O thou of the fairest complexion, thou hast embraced me sitting on my right thigh. But, O timid one, know that this is the seat of the daughters and daughter-in-law. The left lap is for the wife, but thou hast not accepted that. Therefore, best of women, I cannot enjoy thee as an object of desire. Be my daughter-in-law. I accept thee for my son. The damsel then said, O virtuous one, let it be as thou sayest. Let me be united with thy son. From my respect for thee, I shall be a wife of the celebrated Bharata race. Yea, of the Bharata race are the refuge of all the monarchs on earth. I am incapable of numbering the virtues of this race even without 100 years, even within 100 years. The greatness and goodness of many celebrated monarchs of this race are limitless. O Lord of all, let it be understood now that when I become thy daughter in law, thy son shall not be able to judge of the propriety of my acts. Living thus with thy son, I shall do good to him and increase his happiness, and he shall finally attain to heaven in consequence of the sons I shall bear him, and of his virtue and good conduct. Vaishampayan continued, O king, having said so, the celestial damsel disappeared then and there, and the king too waited for the birth of his son in order to fulfill his promise. About this time, Pratipa, the light of the Kuru race, that bull amongst Kshatriyas, was engaged along with his wife in austerities from desire of offspring. And when they had grown old, a son was born unto them. This was not other than Mahabhisha, and the child was called Shantanu because he was born when his father had controlled his passions by ascetic penance. And the best of Kurus, Shantanu, knowing that region of indestructible bliss can be acquired by one's deeds alone, became devoted to virtue. When Shantanu grew up in youth, Pratipa addressed him and said, Some time ago, O Shantanu, a celestial damsel came to me for thy good. If thou meetest that fair complexioned one in secret, and if she solicits thee for children, accept her as thy wife. And, O sinless one, judge not of the propriety or impropriety of her actions, and ask not who she is, or whose, or whence, but accept her as thy wife at my command. Vaishampayan continued. Pratipa, having thus commanded his son Shantanu and installed him on the throne, retired into the woods. And the king Shantanu, endowed with great intelligence and equal unto Indra himself in splendor, became addicted to hunting and passed much of his time in the woods. And the best of monarchs always slew deers and buffaloes. And one day, as he was wandering along the banks of Ganga, he came upon a region frequented by Siddhas and Charanas. And there he saw a lovely maiden of blazing beauty and like unto another Shri herself, of faultless and pearly teeth and decked with celestial ornaments, and attired in garments of fine texture that resembled in splendor the filaments of the lotus. And the monarch, on beholding that damsel, became surprised, and his raptures produced instant horripilations. With steadfast gaze, he seemed to be drinking her charms, but repeated draughts failed to quench his thirst. The damsel, also beholding the monarch by blazing splendor, moving about in great agitation, was moved herself and experienced an affection for him. She gazed and longed to gaze on him evermore. The monarch then, in soft words, addressed her and said, O slender waisted one, be thou a goddess or the daughter of Danava, be thou of the race of the Gandharvas or Apsaras, be thou the Yakshas or the Nagas, or be thou human origin, O thou of celestial beauty, I solicit thee to be my wife. Section 97. Sambhavapar continued. Vaishampayan said, the maiden then, hearing these soft and sweet words of the smiling monarch and remembering her promise to the Vasus, addressed the king in reply. A faultless feature, the damsel sending a thrill of pleasure into the heart of every word she uttered, said, O king, I shall become thy wife and obey thy commands. But, O monarch, thou must not interfere with me in anything I do, be it agreeable or disagreeable, nor shall thou ever address me unkindly. As long as thou shalt behave kindly, I promise to live with thee. But I shall certainly leave thee the moment thou interferest with me or speaketh to me an unkind word. The king answered, be it so. And thereupon the damsel, obtaining the excellent monarch, that foremost one of the Bharata race, for her husband, became highly pleased. And the king Shantanu, also obtaining her for his wife, enjoyed the full the pleasure of her company. And adhering to his promise, he refrained from asking her anything. And the Lord of Earth, Shantanu, became exceedingly gratified with her conduct, beauty, magnanimity, and attention to his comforts. And the goddess Ganga also, of the three courses, celestial, terrestrial, and subterranean, assuming a human form of superior complexion and endowed with celestial beauty, lived happily as the wife of Shantanu, having as the fruit of her virtuous acts obtained for her husband the tiger amongst kings, equal unto Indra himself in splendor. And she gratified the king by her attractiveness and affection, by her wiles and love, and by music and dance, and became herself gratified. And the monarch was so enraptured with his beautiful wife, that months, seasons, and years rolled on without his being conscious of them. And the king, while thus enjoying himself with his wife, had 8 children born unto him, who in beauty were like the very celestials themselves. But, O Bharata, those children, one after the other, as soon as they were born, were thrown into the river by Ganga, who said, this is for thy good. And the children sank to rise no more. The king, however, could not be pleased with such conduct, but he spoke not a word about it, lest his wife should leave him. But when the 8th child was born, and when his wife, as before, was about to throw it smilingly into the river, the king, with a sorrowful countenance and desirous of saving it from destruction, addressed her and said, kill it not. Who art thou and whose? Why dost thou kill thy own children? Murderess of thy sons, the load of thy sins is great. His wife, thus addressed, replied, O thou desirous of offspring, thou hast already become the first of those that have children. I shall not destroy this child of thine, but according to our agreement, the period of my stay with thee as is at an end. I am Ganga, the daughter of Jahannam. I am ever worshipped by the great sages. I have lived with thee so long for accomplishing the purpose of the celestials. The eight illustrious Vasus endured with great energy had, from Vashishta's curse, to assume human forms. On earth, beside thee, there are none else to deserve the honor of being their begetter. There is no woman also on earth except one like me, a celestial of human form, to become their mother. I assumed a human form to bring them forth. Thou also, having becoming the father of the eight Vasus, hast acquired many regions except one like me, a celestial of human of perennial bliss. It was also agreed between myself and the Vasus that I shall free them from their human forms as soon as they would be born. I have thus freed them from the curse of Rishi Apava. Blessed be thou. I leave thee, O king. But rear thou this child of rigid vows, that I shall live with thee so long was the promise I gave to the Vasus. And let this child be called Gangadat. With this, we come to an end to this section of Mahabharat. Until next time, this is your host, Madhulika Rajahan, signing off. Stay healthy always. Narayan, Narayan.